One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. It's BV. It's BV. BV. It's BV.
Yeah.
It's BV. It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
It's BV and Jellified, Jimmy Bean and Bly, reaching highest where we reach, yo, it's highest to the stars. Beats in the villain Jeep, vibrating other cars. Whose world is this? Yo, we say the world is ours. So we grow beards, no fear, photos so clear. Take another shot, so to speak, yeah, more beer. BV worldwide, put a fist to the sky. Cheers, cheers, New Year's, dope rhyme, good vibes. My crew speaks power, Chi-Town bleeds power. Knowledge, wisdom, and truth in the final hour. Respect, loyalty, family, charity speaks power. Here the villains, brotherhood speaks honor. Forwards and onwards, stay villain to the end. I will never shave again because my beard is not a trend. I represent excellence, leadership, and never follow. I'm a BBC member, yo, Lieutenant of Chicago.
One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV. It's BV.
Hello and welcome to The Heart of a Villain, the podcast devoted to the bearded villains' worldwide brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you are new to the live stream possibilities here on YouTube, welcome. I appreciate you guys for tuning in live on YouTube for the live stream. If you are a returning guest, thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate everything that you mean to this podcast and live stream. So as I said, I'm BP from The Heart of a Villain, also from the Bearded Villains of Indiana. And welcome to everybody. If you're listening on the normal podcast platforms, thanks again for tuning in, as you always have. We are now 32 episodes in. This is episode 32 of The Heart of a Villain, so I do appreciate everybody for being here. If you like bearded men, if you like anything having to do with brotherhood, charity, anything like that, then you are in the right place. You are home. This is what we do here. We talk about everything that is, was, and could be for the Bearded Villain Brotherhood. And that's what we're doing here. So just a quick introduction for what we are going to be doing for episode 32, what we have on tap. This weekend is Memorial Day weekend. And so I do want to address the obvious with that it's Memorial Day weekend, and we are going to be talking a little bit about what it means, what it is, what it really truly means, how it's different from what some people might think. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about a story that's personally involving me and somebody else named Brian, a hero from the Vietnam War. And then also we have a really fun guest today, Shady from the Bearded Villains of, well, I'll get into that in just a minute. But suffice it to say, if you didn't already know, 1 became 3 in the MD this week. That's what I'm going to say. 1 became 3 in the MD. So, good stuff coming up. I appreciate everybody for being here. Thanks so much. And, well, let's just get into it, guys. I'm excited, really excited about it. Please don't forget that if you do like all of those things that I mentioned before, charity, brotherhood, bearded men, the bearded villains, anything associated with any of that stuff, then you please need to get over to YouTube and like and subscribe to the YouTube page. And if you do that and then click that little bell, then you will also get notified when new videos drop in the future, both live stream videos and any other video that we put together that has to do with the bearded villains or anything else. So definitely get on there and check that out for sure. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to tune right into this little Memorial Day weekend stuff. And what I wanted to first touch on is the fact that there is sometimes some confusion about what Memorial Day is. And I wanted to address this. People that have been in the military sometimes I don't want to say take offense to it, but they're very quick to clarify to people that there's a difference between Memorial Day and what is often referred to as the similarities between that and Veterans Day. So I wanted to just address that really quickly because I think it's important, and it's important to recognize the differences so that if you don't know the differences off the top of your head, you don't kind of catch yourself in a position where you might get embarrassed, but you also want to be knowledgeable and know what it's truly about. So I'm going to bring this little thing here up on the screen, and so that you can see. Memorial Day is a day to remember and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving in our military. The difference between that and Veterans Day is that Veterans Day is a day to show appreciation for those who have served in our military and are still serving. So don't catch yourself in the trick bag. Sometimes people are doing that where they say, hey, thank you for your service. They're telling everybody, thank you for your service all the time on Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend festivities and the different things that are going around about that. So it's important to recognize that difference, that Memorial Day is a time of remembrance. It's a time to remember and honor those who did serve, but also ultimately paid with their lives for their service while serving in our military. And that's what Memorial Day is about. It's memorial. It's a Memorial Day. Veterans Day is when you want to be out there, and any other day of the week, really. Specifically, you want to be out there saying thank you to our veterans for their service. We want to do that 24/7 all year round. However, during Memorial Day weekend, during Memorial Day, that's a time of remembrance for those that did make the ultimate sacrifice. So just clarify that a little bit. I wanted to bring that up and just mention that for everybody so that you were aware of that. And so there's no confusion on that. So let's get into what is, I wanted to talk just for a second, a little bit about a personal story that I have since we're coming into Memorial Day weekend. And I want to say there are many, many, many cemeteries and memorials that are out there referring to, that are built, designed, and house the remains of many, many, many of our fallen officers, fallen servicemen from the military all over the world. But probably the most recognizable and one of the most incredible sights to see is that at Arlington National Cemetery. And I've been there a few times, and I took a few pictures I want to share here with everybody because, man, it's such an amazing place to be. I was there this most recent time when I was taking pictures at sunset, and it was just about the time before, it was in May, it was about this time of year, and it was about the time that they were going to have to start closing things down. I'm not sure exactly if they close at sunset specifically or not, but I remember them telling us that it wasn't going to be long before it was closed when I was out taking these photos. And I love it because some of these photos actually look like there are the sunlight coming through the trees is actually forming a cross. So I love that. But I wanted to share it just because it's, seeing all of those headstones just perfectly designed, this cemetery, and seeing just the sheer numbers of people who are there, the men and women who have sacrificed everything for this country. And it's such an amazing thing to see. Another photo here, just rows and rows and rows, and they're so equidistant. They're designed that way so that no matter how and what angle you're looking at them from, it's just such a cool thing to see. So yeah, this is just some photos that I've got here from Arlington. Now, we know that everybody that's been to Washington, D.C. knows that Arlington and all these different, which is actually in Arlington, obviously right next door to Washington, D.C., but there are so many different memorials that are out there. And the personal tribute that I have, the personal connection that I have to this holiday, specifically to Memorial Day weekend, I'm going to bring up this picture here. This is such a really awesome painting. Art, I don't know if it's a painting or what it is, but it's called Reflections, and it's by an artist named Lee Teeter. And this is those of you who aren't looking at it, you should look it up. It's called Reflections from Lee Teeter, Teter. And it's a very popular image of a man in a shirt, a button-down shirt per se. Looks like he's from the office or something like that. He's got his briefcase sitting on the sidewalk, but he's standing with one arm raised and leaning against the Vietnam Memorial Wall. And facing him on the memorial wall with all these names are the images of 4 servicemen. And one of them is reaching back through the wall to touch his hand. And it's just an amazing, amazing image. And I think about this every time Memorial Day comes up because of my personal connection that I have to someone who is on that wall. And I just wanted to give a little bit of a tribute to him. I found out when I was a kid that I was actually named for a high school friend of my parents. And my parents knew him growing up, went to school with him. And shortly after high school, he enlisted and ultimately became a helicopter pilot for the Army. And he went to do so in Vietnam. He served for 2 years, I believe it was, from 68 to 70, where in 1970, on a mission to retrieve some Special Forces officers, he was killed in the line of duty while he was doing that mission to retrieve these officers. My understanding from what I've read about this, and sometimes these missions are kind of sketchy at best, even all these years later, but my understanding is that he was actually scheduled to be going home. His deployment was done. He had actually stayed longer than he was supposed to on this specific deployment, and he was scheduled to be going home. And he decided on his own that, no, I'm going to stay back because of the specific duty that this task was regarding this mission. And he was due to pick up some Special Forces officers that he himself, I guess, was responsible for deploying and for taking to this assignment that they were on. And so he wanted to retrieve them and bring them back to base once their mission was done, wherever they were. And it was in Laos during the Vietnam War. So it was in the process of picking them up and coming back home to their base when he was shot down. And he was able to survive the actual crash, but due to shrapnel and some part of the process of the helicopter being shot down, he sustained fatal injuries, but he was able to salvage the aircraft. It sounds like it was kind of crazy the way things happened. So this image here is the image of Brian Devaney. I believe he was also referred to as BJ by his cohorts there in the Army. But Brian J. Devaney is who I am named after from my parents, a friend of theirs from high school. And so I just wanted to pay tribute to him. This was a very kind of an eerie, but also a very important time. This was the first time that I actually went to the Vietnam War Memorial Wall and actually was able to see his name on the wall. And I took an etching of that and gave that to my parents. And I thought that was just very, very cool, because I'm not sure that they ever were able to personally see this wall. So again, that is the hero from the Vietnam War for which I am named after, Brian Devaney. God bless, buddy. And thank you for your service. From everything that I've read about him and his exploits in the military, he was one heck of a helicopter pilot who went way above the call of duty. So, like so many of our servicemen have done. And that is my story in a nutshell regarding my experience and my connection to the Vietnam War and War Memorial. I want to bring in our interview guest for this week. I mentioned a little bit about that I was going to be bringing in, I teased it a little bit and said that if you didn't know already, 1 became 3 in the MD. So what that refers to is the fact that this past week, it was announced that Maryland, our brothers in Maryland, the OG, the Maryland Originals chapter, has grown. And boy, did it grow in a big way. Usually when you hear of some growth within BV circles, a chapter growing to become, multiple chapter where it blows up, it does so once at a time. Not so the case in Maryland. One became 3 in the MD, as I like to say. So now we have 3 chapters in the state of Maryland, and it all happened at once. And so they're blossoming and growing, and it's a really cool thing to see. I was really excited to hear that a former captain of the original Maryland chapter, Shady, was now a captain of one of the new chapters, and that is the Bearded Villains of Southern Maryland. And there's also a Chesapeake Bay. That was the third one that was split. So now we have, as part of this growth split, split always sounds so negative, but this was all a positive thing. And so as part of this growth, we now have the Maryland Originals, we have Chesapeake Bay, and we have Southern Maryland. So very cool stuff. So my interview here was with Shady, and I've been waiting to talk to him for a little bit because I've been wanting to interview him for a little bit because he's such a cool dude, very unique, and he's got one of those cool jobs. He's another one of our brothers who's a tattoo artist, and so he's just been around for a little bit. A lot of people know him. When you hear Shady, you know exactly who I'm talking about. You have this image in your head, right away. And so I wanted to bring him in for an interview, and it just so happened that timing was just perfect for us to do this, and for it to be now when his new chapter was birthed. So my interview now with Shady from the Bearded Villains of Southern Maryland, and I'll play that for you now. My guest today has had a very big week this week, and man, he's got some really cool stuff to talk about. But this guy has been around for a while. Everybody knows him by his name. If you just hear the name Shady, you know who this guy is. He casts a big shadow wherever he goes. Really cool dude. I was so happy to meet him in Puerto Rico for the first time, and every single big meet that I go to, it seems like Shady's there. So, Shady, welcome to the Heart of a Villain, man. How you doing?
Man, not bad, man. Thanks for having me, man. I'm honored.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. I know we've talked about this for a little bit, trying to get you on, and it just so happens with the big news of the week, and we'll get to that here in just a few minutes. But it just so happens this is perfect timing, man, for us to have our chat.
Yeah.
So what? Let's just start it out. I kind of like guys that have been around for a bit within BV circles. I kind of like to let them explain a little bit about their history, their BV history, where they've come from, and kind of what brought them to BV, and just your journey, your BV journey. Where is it taking you, man?
Well, my scout Steiner, kind of recruited me. I've been a tattoo artist now professionally, a little over 8 years. He just hit me out of the blue. We were mutual friends on Facebook. I started growing my beard, and he's like, man, would you be interested in this? And I'm like, why not? I'll check it out. And then I became a hopeful end of 16. In November, I made my first meeting as a hopeful. Then raised my flag right into 17, got patched April of 17, and been at it ever since.
Man, have you always had that beard? Because that thing is, I've always said that thing is magnificent. It's full, it's thick.
Oh, I had a baby beard like when I first started. I had actually just trimmed it up. Like the beginning of my IG, I had just cut it down real short, and then been letting it go since.
That's cool. That's awesome, man. So you were patched in, and you grew with the OG Maryland chapter.
Yes,
and
sir.
We'll talk about the big news again here coming up with that. But did you work up through any ranks, offices, or anything like that during your Maryland journey?
Yes. November of 18, I got promoted to the sergeant of the chapter.
Okay.
By the time the whole expansion happened, I was the captain.
So you have.
I was voted into co-captain right before that.
All right. So you were prepared. You got to have some firsthand, get your boots on the ground kind of experience in running things.
Yes, sir.
And that's kind of led you to where the big news this week. But you have such a cool career, very unique, and I always love to hear how guys get into that. What made you get into the tattoo industry?
Well, it truly kind of fell into my lap. I mean, I've always been into art, drawing. Like I would get in trouble in school for drawing during class. Um, and it kind of fell to me like, why not? Let me give it a shot. And been at it ever since, trying to get good. One day I'll be good.
Oh, dude, you're good now. You're good now. I mean, you guys, it's an ever growing portfolio. I know that. I've seen, and usually there's that one step where you can kind of see if you look at somebody's portfolio from the get go on, you're like right there. That's when they found that stroke or something, and everything else from there is just fine tuning. But no, I've seen your work, man. That's good stuff. It's
It's constant.
it's constant learning, but there's a definite art form to it, and I think from what I've seen, and I'm no artist by any means at all. I'm lucky if I can draw a Smurf or a turd or anything like that. But it's so I have such an appreciation for people that can get the image out of their head and put it on paper, and then take that one step further and do what you do, because that's a completely different skill set. I think I know that it transitions, but it's always amazing for me to see when somebody's able to draw an image and make it look realistic or make it look really cool, and then transition that to putting that with needle and ink on skin, completely different canvas. What was that transition like for you?
It was weird. It's like you said, it's a constant evolving learning process. It's like basically once you learn to draw on paper, you're transferring mediums, like whether it be paint, spray paint, oils, acrylics, you're just learning to transfer it to a different medium.
Was that weird though? The first time you put like that needle and you're like, whatever that medium is that you're doing, and whether it was actual skin or if it was something else, because it's
first tattoo.
It's not like you can just drag it back across and erase it.
No. First tattoo I did was on myself.
What was it?
Yep.
What'd you put on yourself?
A little tribal scorpions, just something to do, just to I figure if I'm going to learn to do this, I need to know what it feels like when I'm doing to somebody.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've heard that from several people over the years. They've tattooed themselves at some point. I can't imagine having the steady hand enough to do that.
It sucks. It sucks. I'd rather get tattooed by anybody than myself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just because it's an unnatural reaction to cause yourself pain.
Yeah, and you have to sit there and take it.
It's like, shit, oh, no, why?
Normally, if there's pain or if it is in a painful place or you're getting a tattoo, you can focus elsewhere. You can kind of clear your mind, take on a conversation, but you actually have to watch it happen. Not that it doesn't bother me when I get mine done to watch it happen, but you have to focus on what it is you're doing, knowing that you're doing it, and especially if you're trying to tattoo someplace. Now, most people probably wouldn't want to tattoo themselves in one of those areas that are difficult and painful, more painful than others, but I can't imagine just saying, "Oh, we're going to go in the ditch here and we're going to tattoo just for fun." But still, it's just a weird feeling to think about it. I'm going to be causing myself pain, and I'm going to sit there and do it and concentrate on it while it's happening. That's different, man.
Yeah, it definitely sucks.
Did you ever have? What did you have? Did you ever do like any normal person jobs?
Oh yeah, man. I've done a little bit of everything. I was a corrections officer in DC for about 5 years.
Okay.
I just made lieutenant there before I left. I've worked in retail, restaurants. I've done a little bit of everything. Tattooing, finally, when I found tattooing, it was like, that's me. That's it.
Yeah.
Found the job I love.
I can't even imagine doing corrections in DC. You could
Fun
not.
times.
You could not have had that magnificent beard then, I'm sure.
Nah, I baby faced or like goatee.
At least they let you have a goatee. Yeah. That's when you get into the corrections law enforcement spectrum, for some reason they don't like the beards.
Nah.
That's okay. It's okay.
Not long ones, at least.
No, I can't even imagine you without that beard, man, or some beard.
I look like a 12-year-old, dude. I look like a 12-year-old. No bullshit.
That's funny. That's great. So what do you love most about doing that, about the tattoo industry? What just drives it for you?
Oh man, it's just creating, man. It's like the art, like growing, evolving, getting better. Trying to like my goal is if I can make every tattoo I do better than the one I did before it, I'm on the right way.
Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it. Now, what if, from a tattoo artist perspective, and I've often wondered this, and I feel weird if I ever go into a tattoo. I mean, even there's tattoo artists that I know personally that I'm real good friends with, but I still feel weird, asking them questions sometimes about what they do, because you don't want to be asking the same question that everybody always asks about different things, because they're like, well, I know, but it just feels weird because they're like, come on, really, not that. So, but I've always wondered though, do you prefer, from an artistic side of things, but also from a tattoo artist side of things, would you prefer somebody to just walk in and say, this is kind of what I want, or would you rather have the freedom to be able to make it yourself, or would you rather have somebody come in with an image and say, I'd like to stick to this, but maybe do a little bit of your flair with it?
I mean, any artist is going to want creative freedom. That's what we crave.
Right.
But like, it's like if you come in with that little infinity sign and you want it just like that, I wanted, if anybody wants me to tattoo them, I want to give them what they want.
But is that hard to do it that way? When somebody's just
No.
like, you're just like, come on, this clip art piece of junk?
It's one of those things, man. It means something to everybody. It's like, I'm glad and honored that I'm a part of it to help them make that permanent.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's good to know, because there's been times where I've had an image and I'm like, I see this image out there somewhere, and it's not necessarily a copywritten image or some other artist's, because that's a big faux pas. I know you don't want to take somebody else's drawing or something else from another tattoo artist and go, that's what I want. So.
Oh yeah. I always tell people, like, I can do something like this, but I'm not going to give you somebody else's work.
Yeah.
Let me, I'm blessed that, most of my clients trust me enough they'll give me their ideas and just let me run with it.
That's cool. That's got to be fun. What's your favorite style? What do you really excel in, do you think?
New school, traditional, neo-traditional, new school, anything with color, I think, is my favorite stuff to do.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Very cool stuff. Well, let's get into the fun news of the week. Just announced. Well, tell everybody. I'm going to let you tell it. Tell us what just happened this week.
Oh man. Sunday we were honored to receive our chapter seal, and Maryland has grown to 3 chapters.
3 chapters now, from 1 to 3, and you are now which chapter?
I am the captain of the Southern Maryland chapter.
Okay, so now we have a Bearded Villains Southern Maryland chapter. Is that what you guys are going to be known as? Just Bearded Villains Southern Maryland, or do you have any nicknames or anything crazy that's going to be coming about with that?
We're still kicking some of that stuff around, but like BVSOMD.
All right, it just kind of rolls off the tongue. It's kind of funny that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you would to look at it. I had to look at it and I was like, BVS. It's kind of I wasn't sure if it, but then I said it like 2 or 3 times and I was like, oh, it just rolls off the tongue. It's kind of funny.
It's like Maryland. Maryland is as Maryland is, man. Like Maryland, Southern Maryland, SOMD. It just, like you said, it kind of just rolls off.
Yeah, it did. SOMD. It's very cool, very cool. Now, as an artist, I have to ask, and maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but I want to say that I saw a little bit of your influence in the new logo that came out that's attached to your new chapter. Did you have an input or something to do with that, or did you create that?
Oh, me and Justin, we collabed on it and came up with it together.
Awesome. Are there any hidden influences in the logo, like stuff that most only you guys would kind of know about? Homages to Maryland.
Little things like the leaf on the yellow part of the Maryland flag is like an homage to Calvert County, where most of us live now.
Okay.
The buck knives, Bowie knives hunting is big down there. The little trident, we have a naval base 20 minutes from my house. So it's little things just to make the whole.
I love that, man. It's, I mean, you say, oh, just little, but that's what really makes it unique. You know, it makes it something that, you know, when you see a chapter logo or a new chapter logo that's come out, you just start looking at it and you look for those little tiny nuances that, you know, there was definitely a thought into this because it looks a little different than a normal, you know, it was designed this specific way for this specific reason. So I had to ask because I've been looking over that logo, and I'm going to be showing it while we're doing the interview here on the live stream. I'm going to bring it up and let everybody see it because it's so cool that there's a lot to look at. I sat there and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I started looking closer and I was like, okay, that means something. That means something. There's some meaning to that. That's kind of cocked that way. That's kind of, yeah, very cool stuff, man. So congrats.
With me and Justin both being tattooers, it was like we just sat down, started kicking around ideas, and that's what came out. Justin did the osprey, which is a native bird to the region.
Okay.
You know, along the water and stuff like that. So it just all made sense, and it came together really easy.
It just very cohesive, and usually sometimes when you see multiple images in one image, you know, created, it doesn't flow. It doesn't seem to fit together, but you guys did a really neat job of collabing on that. That's very cool.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, so we've got now 3 chapters in Maryland, and hopefully soon I'll be able to bring in our new captain of the Chesapeake Bay chapter.
Yes, sir.
But we'll get into that at another podcast, or maybe if I'm able to fit him in on this one, we'll see. That's all up to him. But so can you kind of break down what's the boundaries, how it kind of broke down within how Maryland became 1 chapter to 3?
Well, really, truthfully, between the 3 of us, the 3 captains of the chapters, there weren't really no boundaries we were looking at. Basically, it's a chance to grow. You know, everybody, if they try to become a villain in Maryland, they get in where they fit in.
Oh, that's great. That's very unique.
We all want to we all want to work together. You know, there's no bad blood or nothing. We're all family still.
Oh, sure. Well,
it's just now we can all grow our reach within the state and do more to help the state.
Okay. So if somebody, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So if somebody wants to come in as a new guy that's interested in bearded villains, they can just kind of reach out to whoever's, you know, somebody within one of the 3 chapters, and it's really not a big deal where they end up based on geography.
No.
Very cool. That's unique. That's very unique for the, and that's very cool that you guys have that resource to you guys, so that you guys are still one big family. Most chapters, when there is a split, or as we say, growth, when one chapter becomes multiple, and it's not a matter of bad blood, as we talked about off air. It's a growth, and that's what it's time for. And so that there's still that family bond there. But it's usually if somebody comes in, they say, well, you're where you live, that's going to be this chapter. So that's an interesting take on it. I like the way that you guys are taking care of that. That's very cool.
Yeah, we definitely work together on it. Like I said, Maryland, before the expansion, we were over 30. Like, people have seen us come to the big meets like Nash Vegas, East Coast, you know, and we roll in really deep.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was a logical move, you know, to, like I said, cover more demographics within the state and grow it.
Yeah. Maryland as a state has always kind of, and it didn't even matter if it was just like an East Coast meet, just somewhere close by you guys would roll deep, even 7-8 hours away for sure, for a drive. So that's always been fun to see, the big crowds, especially when one huge chapter comes in, especially from that distance away. I know Chicago's big on doing that too, if they can drive as a big group. And we have several chapters. I could probably get in trouble not naming some if I start to name a bunch. So I'm not going to. I just only mention them because they're so close to me. But
Chicago always rolls deep.
So the Southern Maryland chapter, of which you are now the captain, how many guys have you got in your chapter now to start?
We've got 7.
Okay. Very cool. It's a strong start, man. There's, and you guys are going to be, I know it usually when there's a new chapter, I jump in and be like, so what are your plans? What are you hoping to do? And that's probably very difficult to assess right now, based on based on the social distancing and all the coronavirus stuff that's going on right now. How's your state going with that right now?
Oh, right now, just last Friday, they lifted the stay-at-home order.
Okay.
They're still not allowed. Most businesses aren't open yet. I've been down for about going on 2 months since I've been able to work.
I was going to ask you about that.
But yeah, it's been fun. But it's enabled me to give me. I mean, honestly, me not being at work's giving me the time to put in the effort to get this stuff done. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That's cool. So you're going to be able to, is there any timeline for you to get back to work then?
It's still up in the air. We're apparently, my industry is apparently not in phase 1 of the reopening.
Yeah. That's sad.
The
They don't deem you worthy yet.
Yeah,
You're not
worthy.
essential.
I'm not essential.
You're not essential. Yeah, but tell that to people that like
Not
to
yet.
get tattoos. That's essential. Not only the
Yes,
people that
sir.
like to give them and that work in that industry, but the people that like to get them. It's cathartic for them. It's a way to feel human for some people. So try telling those guys that it's not it's not essential.
Right? It's
Man.
one of those, just make the best of it as it comes, man.
Oh, that's all you can do.
Keep my head up and keep moving.
And that's you know what that's what you guys from Maryland have always done, is that you guys have done a really good job of setting an example of not only participation but kind of leading the way over there, especially when we've seen you guys come to different meets and always just kind of a beacon of positivity. So it's exciting to see the growth now, 1 to 3 chapters, and I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do with this, because I know that you guys I know all the guys, and it'll be a learning curve now for some of us to go like, okay, now he's here, now he's with this chapter, but man, it's going to balloon up, man. I'm excited to see where you guys take this, and and what kinds of growth, but also the way that you guys are able to push the brotherhood and all the different charity aspects. Because I know that as a chapter, Maryland was, just the original chapter with all of you guys in together was very active in the community. So,
Definitely.
You said, it's going to be a neat adjustment to see the branching out and the ways that you guys are going to be able to focus on some of that stuff in the future.
Definitely, man. I'm excited for it. I'm excited.
Well, definitely do me a favor.
I mean,
No, go ahead.
we definitely got a solid group of guys in all the chapters. It's definitely, like you said, it'll be a learning curve to see where it goes, especially with the pandemic going on. But like, we're all excited, man. It's like rejuvenated a lot of guys.
Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes you see that when that happens. It's just something new, and sometimes, sadly, I mean, it is life. It's part of life, and so it does kickstart some guys, their drive a little bit, and make them say, hey, okay, now I have a new chance to step up. If they felt like they were kind of, on the, kind of pushed aside, some guys. I mean, we don't like to think of it that way, but that happens as time goes on with some guys in different chapters, and but I've seen it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Life happens, and especially right now with everything that's going on,
yeah.
guys losing jobs. We want to do everything we can to get our guys taken care of, and let our brothers know that we're out there for them. So, but I'm really excited, man, to see where this goes, and I'm looking forward to being able to connect with you in the future, find out, where you guys are at, what you guys are doing, and how all 3 of your chapters now are able to do some really cool stuff in that community out there.
Hell yeah. It's definitely like I said, man, we're all excited. It's like we got guys that had left because of life issues are now coming back, man. It's been really cool. I'm really honored that that we've been able to make this happen and make it work and make so many people happy.
Yeah, that's great. I wish there was more that I could ask you about, because I know, I'm sure you have plans. I'm sure you have some ideas in the works once the travel bans and the social distancing stuff is lifted, and you guys, I know you've got some ideas about ways that you can do things, but it's all a timing. It's all a matter of when these different things get lifted, and I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for you and seeing what your chapter does, man. I'm excited, and
Appreciate it.
Please keep me in the loop for sure, and let me know when you guys have events, because that's what it's all about over here at Heart of a Villain. I want to make sure I can push that stuff out and let everybody else hear about what you guys are doing. Afterwards, when you guys get done with something and you've done something really cool, even if it's, we just did this thing with this soup kitchen, just still give me a holler, man. Let me know. Because
definitely, man.
I want to do everything I can to let everybody out in the East Coast area know what you guys are doing. But also, you guys, it's a neat example. Like I said, it's unique situation because you went from 1 to 3, not just 1 to 2, and it's such an amicable thing that you guys have done, and the way that you guys have divided things up is very unique. So I think it's going to be a neat example to other people, to other chapters, to find out how you guys kind of split apart like Transformers, but you can get back together like Voltron was back in the day, or something like that, where you're just all still a part of one, but you're individual. So, like I said, you guys have a chance to really be a really cool example to a lot of other people. So, I'm excited for that.
Man, thank you.
Shady, man, I'm so happy I was finally able to get you on here, and please keep me abreast of what's going on out there.
Will do, man. Will do, brother. Like I said, man, I'm honored. Thank you for thinking of me to have me on here.
Absolutely, man. All right, buddy. You're the best. I wish you nothing but luck, and keep us posted on the future, buddy.
Will do, brother. Thank you much.
All right. That was Shady. Shady from the new Bearded Villains Southern Maryland chapter. Man, hey, I know some of you have probably seen this, and I want to get out here and look at this, because how cool is this logo that that the two of them have developed? And I'm going to bring this, look at this, right over my shoulder here. If you're looking live right now, if you're not, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about this for a second, but very, very cool. What's funny is that at first glance, I thought that was like an eagle or something like that, but then, he's telling us, it's an osprey, and then he breaks down. I had him break down a few of the different, trinkets inside of this logo, and it's very, very well done. It just pops, it's very attractive. So they did a really good job on this, and I can imagine, and I know they have plans down the road here for some merch stuff possibilities, and it'll be interesting to see when that stuff comes out how quickly that stuff sells, because it's probably going to be like hotcakes. So, but that happens anytime we have a new patch or new merch from a new chapter, especially come out. So, kudos to those guys, man. The new SOMD. The Bearded Villains SOMD, looking really good, and very promising future. I like saying that 1 became 3 in the MD, and so hopefully soon I'll be able to bring on the Chesapeake Bay chapter and talk a little bit about their plans for the future. But did you like my 80s cartoon reference with the Voltron attachment? Yeah, they split apart, but then they go back together. I think that was Voltron. Did I do that right? I'm thinking maybe it was Voltron. I don't know. I'm a little bit rusty on some of that, but I think it was. I think that's one where they could go back. They formed one together. But I digress. But so yeah, special thanks to Shady, man. I was excited to get him on here to talk to us a little bit. Hey. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs and make sure that the beard is soft and smells amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo Beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with an incredible customer care and to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard products of beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to pulpobeardoils.com and use the code TheHeartOfAVillain for discounts on your order. Again, that's pulpobeardoils.com. Use the code, it's all one word, TheHeartOfAVillain, for a discount on your order. All right, guys, so I'm going to get into the calendar of events here that we've got going. And we still only have 2 that I know of, really that I know of right now that have been not really approved, but have come out, chapters that have come out with their calendar of events. So right now we just have 2. I'm going to read them off, and we'll hope for the best, that everything goes well with these. I know that there are some social distancing guidelines that are in place with some of these. So anyway, the first one is Knox Villains. It's coming up just next month, June 13th in Knoxville, Tennessee, hosted by the Smoky Mountain chapter of the Bearded Villains. It benefits the Autism Society of East Tennessee. That's the Autism Society of East Tennessee. It's going to be held at the Bohemian at 621 Lamar Street in Knoxville, Tennessee. There's a beard competition and a whole lot of other stuff. So check that out. Knox Villains, June 13th. If you have any questions, there is a chat in the Line app available for that. So if you're not in that and you want to, find somebody that can let you into that. Otherwise, hit up the Smoky Mountain chapter for Knox Villains, June 13th. Also, the Battle of the Beards 3 is going to be hosted by the Bearded Villains of Southern Indiana on October 3rd. It benefits the Gresham House, and it's going to be held at the American Legion Post number 44 at 711 State Street in Newburgh, Indiana. So the Southern Indiana boys are taking care of Battle of the Beards 3 October 3rd. That's always been a fun time. So if you can hit up, if you're anywhere in the Midwest, October 3rd, definitely hit those guys up. Beard competition is just a fun time. So again, October 3rd for Battle of the Beards, hosted by the Bearded Villains of Southern Indiana. Okay, guys, just a quick reminder here. I do have, if you have any questions, if you have any interest in checking out the merchandise or anything like that, don't forget you can get over to theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. That's the site for the podcast. All prior podcast episodes that you can listen to are on there. Plus, there's a store with merchandise and stuff like that. Pop up this merch logo here. Look at that. Fine young people that are chiming in, wearing our stuff for the Heart of a Villain. We got patches, shirts, patches, pins, even stickers come in with your order when you place an order. So, and don't forget, last thing I will cover here real quick is that the Heart of a Villain is available 4 times a week now with the Mid-Morning Super Awesome live stream Facebook show. Just a chance to sit down and kind of motivate us, push us through the week. It's on Mondays and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central. It only lasts 30 minutes, so just grab your cup of coffee, come in, chit-chat, join the chat, come in, and we'll just push ourselves to strive to be better people. That's the Mid-Morning Super Awesome live stream Facebook show, Monday and Wednesday, 10 a.m. Then we have Tuesday night, we have the IG Live for No Good Reason, which is always a fun time. We bring people in, do some live IG calls, and just talk about life. And then, of course, here Friday night for the Friday night live stream, Friday Night Live of the live stream for the podcast. So hit us up and do that stuff. Do that stuff, guys. That's what we want. All right. Guys, that is going to wrap up episode 32 of The Heart of a Villain. Special thanks to Shady from the Bearded Villains of Southern Maryland for hitting us up and letting us talk about what they're doing and his experience, his life as a tattoo artist. Was a great thing. So remember, you can also buy, as I said before, shirts, patches, pins at the podcast site, theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. Don't forget, the Heart of a Villain never stops beating. And finally, guys, remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So for now, have a great weekend. Enjoy the week ahead, everybody. Take care and stay safe.
From my chapter to yours, we're all one, no borders. Don't get it twisted like contortionists and close quarters. My crew has more heads than peeps cleaning up on borders. When Blah, Jelly, and I, we come together, transformers. So when we meet up, handshakes, brews, and salutes. Every brother is different.